The average cost for a child in Germany in 2018 was €679 per month up to the age of 6, €786 per month between the age of 6 and 12, and €953 per month from the age of 12 to 18, totaling €164,808 until the reach of the age of majority. If children are no longer necessary for personal pension provision, why have them if they are so expensive? What incentive can be created for parents?
Welcome to YD. Why do Germans do things the way they do?
Child benefit, Kindergeld, seems to be something that doesn't exist everywhere. So today we look at where it comes from and how it works. Its origins are somewhat murky, as it was introduced under the National Socialists in 1935. Initially a one-off payment for poor large families, then in 1936 it was 10 Reichsmark from the fifth child and from 1938 from the third child. The whole thing was of course restricted to Aryan families. The idea was simply to have many German sons as future soldiers and many daughters as future mothers. After the war, however, this was retained in principle for reconstruction purposes. From 1950, child benefit was paid in the GDR for the fourth and subsequent children. From 1954, the Familienausgleichskassen, family equalization funds, which were part of the Berufsgenossenschaften, paid 25 Deutschmark for the third and each additional child. Over time, the amount of child benefit and the institution that paid it changed. Today, the Familienkassen, family equalization funds, are part of the Agentur für Arbeit, labor office. For a long time, child benefit was dependent on the income and you received less for the first child and more for subsequent children. Since 2011, there is no longer any restriction on your income. In 2009, 2020, 2021 and 2022, there were additional one-off payments as part of the second economic stimulation package, as part of the coronavirus aid, or as part of the second energy cost relief package. A birth rate of 2.1 children is assumed to keep a society stable. In China, the population has recently been declining due to the one-child policy until 2015. Today, the child benefit in Germany is €255 per child, regardless of the number of children or income. However, other state benefit can also be taken into account. Child benefit is paid by the Familienkasse, Family Benefit Office, at the Labor Office, as we have already discussed in this video. Either the one you live or, if it concerns children abroad, the Labor Office at your employer. Otherwise, there are competent family benefit offices if there are very special constellations with foreign countries. In the EU, the country where you work is generally responsible for child benefit, not necessarily the country where you live. Child benefit is paid from the birth until the child is an adult, possibly up to the age of 25 if the child is still in education. When the child is born in Germany, 4 birth certificates are issued immediately, one of which is intended directly for the application for child benefit. It may be a lot of bureaucracy, but the necessary documents have been thought out from the outset. In addition to child benefit, there is also a Kinderzuschlag, child supplement, if families are particularly needy. In contrast to child benefit, which is generated for 18 or 25 years, the child supplement is only ever granted for 6 months. It is to be hoped that the family's financial situation will improve. Those who are financially well off benefit from another option. Since 1983, there has been a child tax allowance. For each child, there is an amount that reduces the tax burden. Like all tax law, this is somewhat more complicated, but to put it simply, those who earn well benefit more from the fact that the tax burden is reduced for the child or children and they pay less tax. With higher income, you pay more tax, progressive tax rate, than you get from the child benefit. When you file your income tax return, the tax office does the math, and if you can save more tax than the child benefit, you have to pay back the child benefit, but then pay less tax. And of course, you can also claim some additional tax deductions. 2/3 of childcare costs up to a maximum of 6,000 euro, what is up to 4,000 euro per year, can be deducted. Now, a kindergarten place doesn't cost 4,000 a month. Perhaps with a good salary, the personal contribution is 500 euro, so you get up to 6,000 a year. But if you earn very little, you can get a place free of charge without having to pay your own contribution. This is called solidarity, not to be confused with socialism. On the other hand, the employer can also pay a subsidy for childcare or offer a place in the company's own daycare center. By the way, I have a whole video about childcare center here. If I have a child at a fee-paying school, I can also deduct up to 30% of the costs, up to a maximum of 5,000 euro per year. But why would you do that if public schools are free of charge? Learning materials such as books or the obligatory calculator in higher classes can also be deducted from tax. You can also find a whole series of videos about schools here. Additional costs may also be deductible during pregnancy. You can find out more details from your Lohnsteuerhilfe Income Tax Help Association or Steuerberater tax advisor. A lot is being done in Germany to support children and families with children. Shops often have children portions or offer family discounts. Amusement parks, museums, and swimming pools offer family tickets. Some of this is, of course, for economic reasons, because if the children enjoy going there and getting cheaply, an adult has to come along too, or the children will also come as adults in future. Even if quiet times are sacred to Germans, children's laughter is not noise. Back in 1982, the Gladbach District Court ruled against a landlord who had given a young family notice to quit. The neighbors have to put up with babies crying. And noise from children playing is just as acceptable in principle. Also, this should certainly be limited during the quiet hours. However, you can't expect small children in the flat above not to run around during the midday rest period or cry at night. And of course, everyone knows the example of the German at the red pedestrian lights who waits dutifully even without a car because a child could be looking out from a window and then you would be a bad role model. How do you support young families and children in your country? Remarks, addition, and comments in the comments. Thank you for your attention. See you in the next video.